weird how it started. I was driving along, and like any summer, you find yourself in like in construction zones, and you're waiting for the light to turn or for the guy to turn the sign to go. When the person holding the sign said for us to go, a whole line of us started going through this construction zone. As we're going through, I realized that there's a police officer coming back. I can see my rearview mirror coming through with his lights on. So I'm thinking, oh, we're all going to pull over, let this guy go through, no big deal. Well, I pull over, and the police car pulls up right behind me. And I'm thinking to myself, that's weird. I'm in a construction zone. We're doing like 20 kilometers below the speed limit, and they're pulling me over. So when the police officer gets to my window, it's a woman, and she said, we're going to have to, let me see your license, registration, all that kind of stuff. You were speeding in construction zone. I said, that's really strange. Speeding, I was following the car ahead of me, and the car behind me was doing the exact same speed. There was absolutely no reason for me to be speeding, which was what drove me crazy, right? So when the officer was there, and she said, you were speeding, I'm going to have to give you a ticket. I was totally confused. And what's interesting about it was that she had a huge smile on her face. Smug. Like a big, like a smug kind of smile, like I got you. Yeah. You're caught. You're going to pay a fine. How do you like that? Just that kind of look. And I remember thinking, this isn't right. There's some kind of mistake. Yeah. But I tried to talk to her about it. Like, no, it's, obviously we weren't. Blah, blah. And she said, well, if you have a problem with it, I can take you down to the station. We can deal with it there. All of a sudden, here I am. The dream changes instantly. And I find myself in a police station. And she's there, and she starts saying, like, okay, well, you were causing a disturbance, and you were uttering profanity, or something to that effect. This is ridiculous. Like, what kind of world do we live in where this happens? I don't know if it was I was put on trial, or I was, taking the rap for everybody sort of thing. But what really came to my spirit, really, honestly, was that I was being singled out. Yeah. I wasn't part of wasn't part of the pack. I wasn't doing what everybody else was doing. Whatever it is I was doing was getting them rattled. Yeah. And when I say rattled, I mean like the police officer at the station, the police officer is still smiling that smug smile, like, and I got you for speeding, and I got you for causing a disturbance, and being belligerent to a police officer, and she just ring them off, and she smiled. And the more she smiled, the more angry I got. Yep. The more frustrated, and then the outbursts started coming up. And I was saying, like, this is ridiculous, and you can't do this, this is against the law, I know my rights, right? Basically, that was a big one. I know my rights. And then she starts kind of snickering. And then I noticed, which was really strange, was that people mulling about in the background were all police officers. And for the most part, they all had their back to me, or they were all like what you'd see in a TV show, where they're all kind of like the actors in the background are kind of talking. Their lips are moving, but they're not saying anything. Yeah. Same kind of thing. But then every once in a while, as I'm going through my rant with this police officer, I'd see one of them stop what they're doing, turn around and look directly at me and start snickering and laughing. And then they started laughing to each other. And they would snicker and look behind them, like as if to say, like, look what this guy's doing. What was given to me was that they were the enemy. And the enemy had taken notice of me in particular. That's why I was pulled over. And the enemy was asked to start pushing my buttons to find out what would make me, I don't know, crack, but what would make me get off of my game or get off of my particular work that I was supposed to do that day for the Lord. So, for example, if I was supposed to be going through my day and I was supposed to run into somebody, and that person, for whatever reason, I was going to talk to them and say, oh, you know the Lord, and let me help you with that. Before that happened, it was their job to get me off my game, but they got to find out what does that. What gets him off his game? What gets him so right off track that no matter where he's going, he cannot do the Lord's work? And here's what it said to me was, the one thing that Mike doesn't do or doesn't like is he doesn't like things that are unfair. It throws him off. Things that are obviously being picked on, being bullied, and that gets him mad, gets him frustrated, it gets him angry, and then he gets right off his game.
That's a
So
trigger.
let's focus on it.
Yep.
And that's what they were doing. And as like I said, or maybe I didn't say, but the one thing I noticed too was that she was looking down at a notepad and she was checking off a list. And at the end of it, when it was all over, and I'm fuming mad, she gives me a ticket and says it's $1,000. Well, in the dream, $1,000 is, I can't pay that. I can't pay that on a fine. I just can't. I don't have the money. And then when I left, I had the ticket in my hand. And I was walking down the street going, how am I going to pay for this? Like, what am I going to do? And then I saw some street preachers who I had heard on the radio or something, or who I imagined I'd known before. And when I saw them, and I was like, oh, well, it's good to see someone like me, kind of thing, like just know someone who loves the Lord and willing to preach the gospel. And then the dream ended. It was over. And I woke up and that was it.
That was a safety net.
And I got up and I was so taken back by that dream. It took me. I had to get that very day. I asked the Lord for some kind of discernment as to what it was all about. And within a day or two, I got my answer. It came to me like the next day. I was just kind of came into my mind. It was like, this is getting you off your game. You have to be careful. You have to watch your anger. You have to watch your hot buttons. And you have to work on them because the enemy's going to get you off your game. And that could be for anything.
Yeah.
Anything. So I have to be prepared. And since that day, I'm telling you, since that day, I don't allow things to frustrate me like I used to. I'm really, truly moving in a much better direction.